stop screaming. Are you gonna stop screaming? Are you going to stop screaming? No? Okay.
Cheers. Technology in Black Mirror operates just like Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And I can't think of any episode that shows that better than the worst Christmas story I have ever watched, White Christmas.
Not this time!
Every time you look at them, there's just this anonymous shape.
Black Mirror is a dark dystopian anthology created by Charlie Brooker for the British network Channel 4 in 2011. Now, anthologies are shows or stories that aren't related, so they'll have a series of episodes, and each episode is its own story. Black Mirror got too expensive for Channel 4. Netflix acquired the rights for Black Mirror, carrying the Twilight Zone's torch and giving us cautionary tales of when keeping it real goes wrong, Sci-Fi Edition.
Ignore the mild rudeness of someone hanging up on her, or keep it real.
Fuck that! I don't like people playing on my phone.
We'd see how many ways trying to make our life better with technology only makes things 10 times worse. And I think the best episode that shows this is the last episode to air on Channel 4, White Christmas. White Christmas starts in a snowy cabin in the middle of nowhere. The two men in the cabin seem to have been here a while. Matthew is handling the isolation better than Joe. Almost like Matthew is a little more experienced in this environment. By the end of the episode, we realize exactly how experienced Matthew is in this environment, and the fact that Matthew might be manipulating the situation to his benefit. It's only the two of them. Matt is the type of person that loves to hear himself talk though, no worries. So Matt takes us back to when he was a professional resonator. Think of this as an anthology inside of an anthology. Usually with Halloween episodes, you've seen the Treehouse Horror, they'll tell 3 stories inside that episode. So this is a similar format, like a Russian nesting doll of anthologies. The first story is downright horrifying, and not in a fun slasher type way, the feel bad way. It seems like Matt is coaching a young awkward dude named Harry using a ZI. Matt can see everything Harry can and can talk to him as well. It seems like at first he's helping a guy down on his luck like he's a professional dating coach. So Harry, with the help of Matt, crashes a Christmas office party to get Harry to talk to women in a zero pressure situation because it's not their office, they don't know anyone here. Matt, along with another group of weirdos, successfully con Harry's way into the party and helps him get past some intense questioning.
Sorry, who are you?
Pretty sure I'm me.
You're not from the office.
Who do you know from here?
Say, I know you, friendly.
I know you for one. Yeah, we met at Cass Barbecue back in June or so. Yeah?
You had a pork pie hat.
You had a poor guy's hat.
A pork pie hat.
A pork pie hat that you wore on your head.
But don't worry, Matt is Harry's guy in the chair. While helping Harry, we can see Matt can read people like a book. He knows how people think and how they'll react, almost like he's predicting them, knowing when people will just accept lies, and he coaches Harry into his target, Jennifer. Jennifer is a dark cloud. She is the dark cloud in the room. Well, also, where are the colors in this room? This is a bland-ass office party. Shout out UK, y'all ain't got colors over there? While Harry sneaks off to use the little boy's room, we get the reveal that Matt, along with a whole group of weirdos, are doing a creepy Gooner conference call. They put their big heads together and get Harry with the dark cloud, and probably for the first time in Harry's life, things are looking up. Not that he's not gonna try and mess this up.
Am I intimidating?
No. I'm just, No, I just imagine that they all kind of want to get inside your
Head.
Now, unfortunately, Harry is telling her everything she wants to hear, which might not be a great thing. This woman doesn't seem like she's in the healthiest of places.
I've been planning it forever, but you know what it's like. You know you have to do it, but when it comes right down to it, it's hard to work up the courage.
She is throwing off red flags everywhere. I thought this was funny. They got excited when she touched his leg. Harry started to get cold feet and maybe a conscience about committing a crime, and he tells the group that, but Jennifer sees him talking by himself and she thinks that he's like her, so she rushes them back to her place. It does look like Harry's about to get some, but he wants out because, again, this is a sex crime. Jennifer returns with a drink of something, and the creepy gooners celebrate Harry's conquest until Jennifer reveals her plan to take Harry out in a double take-out plan. She thinks they both hear the same voices, and Matt tells Harry to get out of there, but it's too late.
You knew what it was like, and you said, do it. So now we're saying, fuck it, together.
No, all night they've been watching us, and there's this one guy, he's the lead. He's the leader.
the same.
They're watching us. I don't want it.
It's just a transition. And soon, they won't be there, and we'll be free.
Please, I don't want it.
You do. You do.
So they all watch as she force feeds Harry the drink, and they go into crisis mode. Matt tells him to delete everything, burn everything. You know the drill. Pretend we were never here. He's going through his house to delete everything, but he's so comedically loud. You got a toy on every step? He wakes up his wife and they get into an argument because she knows what he's up to. And this is where we find out the ZI has a nice little trick. The best block feature in the world. Hey Elon, you see this? That's how you do a block feature. Man, Twitter sucks now. That's the real Black Mirror.
Boo!
And this is like a hardcore military grade block. I need this block in my life. You can't see them at all. They're a grayed out silhouette. You can't hear what they're saying, it's muffled. They can't hear you and you can't hear them. And this lasts as long as the blocker wants, and it sounds kind of fantastic, except for the part where like, damn, you blocked me forever, that's petty. Like I wouldn't know how to act. You'd think, okay, that's the worst Christmas story I've ever heard. That's it, right? How can it get so much worse? Well, if you've seen the episode and you see the runtime right here, you know it gets so much worse. Back in the cabin, Matt says this is why he left for the cabin. And he continues to try to get Joe to open up, but Joe's not hearing it. He wants one more story. So Matt tells Joe about his previous job. We have a woman in the bed named Greta. She is very particular and is kind of neurotic. She has a poor work-life balance. Greta's here for a surgery, and the entire procedure seems to reiterate Murphy's Law because shortly after being put under, she's awake, feels the procedure, and then she's dug out of her head, and when she sees her reflection, she's a bean-shaped object put into a Glade plugin. Then here go our man, Matt, checking out the Glade plugin, which turns out to be Greta. Matt explains to Greta that she is a copy of the real Greta, and she was put in digital form to control the real Greta's day-by-day life. I haven't immediately felt so much sympathy for an artificial intelligence as I did for Cookie Greta when Matt explained her lack of an existence. And then after all that, he gives her a simulated body after telling her, you don't got a body. All right, now here's a body. But she wants her real body, believing that she's the real her because she feels alive. Why did these cookies need consciousness to operate? You know what it feels like, right? So say you had a cloning device, right? Two tubes, right? You step inside one, new clone comes out the other, but before the new clone comes out, the tube spins in a circle. You wouldn't be able to know who the real one is, right? Because if you both had those same memories, how? Both would believe they're the original, unless you have the tubes marked. So Cookie Greta feels real because they gave it a consciousness. The ethics of this feel like slavery a little bit. And then Matt forces this being to have an existential crisis when she faces herself. It all feels borderline torturous, claustrophobic. It's awful and unnecessary for what is essentially an iHome. When she rightfully refuses, Matt lets her sit in solitary confinement for 3 weeks. My lord, 21 days with no contact with anybody is rough. And then without even a thought, he ups the ante again and makes her sit alone for another 6 months, which is bonkers when you think about it, because the AI must be very resilient. If you did that to a real person, it would no longer be able to control your house. It would burn down your house. I'm surprised he didn't outright break the cookie, and not in the way he meant. Instead, he breaks the cookie in the way he meant, and she comes out of that 6 months demanding a task because she did nothing for 6 months. Matthew broke that cookie in the time and took the real Greta to take a nap. That is scary efficient. Then this man make a move on the real Greta too. It was kind of working. He kind of smooth. It's the same line Harry used. By the end, the slave, Cookie, has been successfully broken, dead eye and all, and this is miserable. But the real Greta is pleased with herself, so I guess it's fine. Why do the cookies have a consciousness? Back again at the cabin, Matt pushes back when Joe calls this slavery, because it is. But he seems perplexed that Joe has sympathy for the code, and then from here we can really see Matt just play with Joe. He calls him a good man, which pushes down on that guilt in Joe's chest, which gets him to open up. After a successful demonstration of interrogation skills, Joe finally breaks, talking about how her dad never liked him. Joe's story is as sad as it is wholly preventable. We'll talk about that, but it is entirely preventable. Joe is with the love of his life, Bethany, and her pops is a serious hater.
Bethany?
Dad, what now?
It gets dark about 6.
We won't be that long.
Bro, she's a whole adult. She can come home in the dark. She'll be fine. She got my boy Joe with her. After Joe kills it at karaoke, in a very foreshadowy song, Beth sings her song,
And still I'll care for you.
Eventually, Joe gets too drunk and they get kicked out, embarrassing Beth. At the after party, Joe, Beth, and Beth's co-worker Greta and Greta's husband Tim are all drinking. Beth played matchmaker between these two, so they're together. During the hangout, she seems disengaged, and then when she goes to bed, she still seems out of it. Joe cleans up, and when he goes to take out the trash, he finds a pregnancy test. He goes to wake up Beth, but he finds out she doesn't want the baby. Her reasonings are kind of nefarious, and I completely empathize with Joe. I understand he's drunk, but man, if there was a wrong move button in this situation, he's hitting it every time, and it leads to Beth doing the unthinkable to Joe.
Don't you dare.
No, we can talk tomorrow. Just please stop.
Don't you fucking dare. Cut it off.
Beth tries to sneak out in the morning, but Joe sees her and tries to apologize. You can hear him getting angrier and angrier because she's ignoring him, but I can imagine if there's no prior incident to this, it must be frustrating to be ignored like this. Imagine if you find the pregnancy test and your significant other tells you, 1, they're pregnant, 2, they don't want to keep it, no discussions, which you gotta imagine in a relationship you're supposed to discuss this. 3, keeps you blocked instead of having a conversation like an adult. 4, literally ghosts you. Wouldn't you feel a type of way? I don't know, let me know in the comments if you feel differently, but I think I'd feel a type of way. Getting desperate, he goes to her job, and Tim and Greta say they haven't seen her. She left work completely. Now the block itself is wild. Not only can't you see or hear them, you can't see them in pictures. Like you literally will never ever see their face ever again unless they want you to. Now this would be great for stalkers, which I guess at this point Joe kinda is, but I can't help but think how this would prevent you from having genuine closure. Months go by, and Joe sees Beth again. Her silhouette now looks like she's about to pop. Joe sees her, and I guess this kind of breaks him because now he's also out of his kid's life. And because of his mental state, he just picks the wrong choice of words.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Just turn it off. Turn it off. Beth, turn it off.
Get off me!
And then the cops get called. Now there's legal backing to the block. He can't even go near her. I mean, some aspects of this block seem extremely useful. I would love it in real life, except for all the downsides. It's a slippery slope. Joe's writing her letters, and determined to see the family he never had, Joe travels to find them. Beth moved back to the middle of nowhere with her father. Wait, the middle of nowhere? Our shack's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I'm being a cheeky bastard, leave me alone. When Joe finally sees his child, we see the block is related to the child too. So Joe can't see anything but a gray blob. He continues to see that gray blob for 4 Christmases and eventually figures out it's a girl blob. The block finally expires when Beth does the same, and Joe realizes for the first time he might be able to see his little girl. When he sees Beth's face for the first time, my man is broken, right? So he gets a little drink, puts a snow globe and some wrapping paper, and he's gonna bring it to his daughter. The emotions of not being able to see the person that you loved for over 4 years, and then one day out of nowhere you can see their face again, and just to find out they died, the amount of emotions rushing through you at that one time, just surging through you, is crazy. Joe gets to the cottage and finds the girl, but when he sees her face, she is like Asian, not white. She would be full white if it's Joe's. So this whole time Beth had an affair with Tim, and that's why she blocked him. That's why I said it was nefarious. Instead of coming clean about what she did, block. That's why she ran out here away from her job. Her friends Greta and Tim had a kinda happy marriage, so she left so no one would know what they did. And that scumbag Tim gets to live happily ever after, while our boy Joe spent years unable to have closure. Beth's dad, Gordon, isn't happy to see Joe. And Joe is confused about his daughter, convinced he actually has a daughter, unable to cope with the reality that for 4 years, he's been imprinting on a child that's not his. Pops tries to get Joe to leave, but he's not doing a very good job.
If this is about those letters, I threw them out before she saw them.
I want to see my daughter.
Get out of this house.
I want to see my daughter.
You have no daughter here!
Joe refuses to accept that he doesn't have a daughter, and when Pops tries to break the news to him gently, Joe gives Pops a severe dose of CTE for Christmas, and he just completely breaks as "I Wish It Would Be Christmas Every Day" plays on the radio in the background. Suddenly, Joe hears chirping from the clock, and he looks up and it's the same clock that's in the shack. Joe's memories all start flooding back at once, and even though I know what's happening because I've seen it before, it still hits me very well. Joe leaves Pops for dead and drives to the nearest town, lives off the streets, and has a psychotic break where he gets picked up by the cops and won't say anything at all. He won't talk because if he refuses to talk, his delusions will be held up. And just like he said would happen as he starts talking about this more, the delusions go down. And I love how the vibe switches immediately. You can tell when Joe realizes exactly where he is. Matt asks Joe what happened to the girl, and Joe says he doesn't know, and Matt presses him, and Joe finally says one of the cops told him that she hid for a little bit.
Then on Boxing Day, she realised that no one was going to help. And she gave her granddad a present that she'd made. And she went out to go and get help.
Matt asks how far she got, and I might be going to hell, but like, she ain't get far. That was pitiful. I just love the way the vibe switches and how they reveal the outcome of the little girl out in the middle of nowhere. And the image of the little girl is enough to make Joe literally say, "I confess." Wild how that works. This man is celebrating in Joe's confused face. And I like the ending shot because in an instant, Matt disappears.
I told you I'd get it. All right, I'm coming out. Sorry, Joe.
It turns out Joe was a cookie this whole time, used by Matt, who was working for the feds. They needed a confession out of Joe, but Joe wasn't talking, so they used the cookie. Matt thinks he's free to go, but the feds flip the switch on him, and it's shown that Matthew is actually going to pay for his crimes from the first story. He tried to use his skills as a get out of jail free card, but it didn't work. Now he's got to go on the register.
What register?
The one for peeping Tom pervs.
You also failed to report a murder. Fatal poisoning, in case you've forgotten.
What does it mean, this register?
It means you're blocked.
By who?
By everyone.
And that sounds awful. That is wild. The register block comes with a nice bright shade of red as your new drip. That feels like a target on your back. A lot of constitutional rights just went out the window. Can you imagine not being able to talk to a single person ever? And now everyone sees you as a threat. We even see someone gripping a snow globe. What you gonna do with that, sir? For one last ethical dilemma in this episode, before the officers go away to Christmas holiday, they set the cookie for 1,000 years every minute. He also nefariously sets a song, "I Wish It Could Be Christmas," as another cruel form of torture for Cookie Joe. Pretty sure we're breaking into the Geneva Convention violations, but I guess they don't see cookies as people, so not really. I guess they see it like me locking a sim in the basement and watching them starve. I mean, what? The worst part is every time he smashes the radio, it gets louder, and it's like, Joe might not be bright, bro. Stop breaking radios. Just put it in the corner, go sleep in the furthest corner, and yeah, I don't know, man. 1,000 years per minute, it's gonna be a long time. This episode was a lot of fun, but man, this was the worst Christmas story I've ever heard. From start to finish, from Harry to Cookie Greta to the little girl, man, is also sad. While Harry is culpable because he was in that creepy group, he still has his agency stripped from him, and that sucks. Joe is someone that made a ton of mistakes, and ultimately, I still feel bad for him. His ex cheated on him, and instead of taking accountability for her actions, she blocked him and ran away. Her failure to inform Joe the kid wasn't his was also what led to her pop's downfall. When looking at the karaoke scene on the second watch, you can really see the songs foreshadowing Joe's life.
It's black, it's black! Woo! I want my baby back!
Referencing his love and desire for his woman back and his unborn child. Then the song Beth sings, we've heard that constantly through the BCU, and it works well for foreshadowing.
You can run around, even put me down, and still I'll be there for you.
It's nice watching the episode back. You can see Matt really working Joe from the first moment. Joe appeared disoriented, possibly from the cookie creation, and walks right into Matt's web. Matt especially someone who is familiar with breaking cookies, so it was only a matter of time before we got Joe to confess. I really like this episode. It's really messed up, but I like it. I think if you haven't seen this episode, one, thank you for watching, but two, go ahead and check it out. Check out all the Black Mirror episodes, but this one especially is really cool, and it makes me think. Not good things, but it makes me think. The acting, the directing, the cinematography, the music, John Hamm, everything in this episode was on point. I would give it a 9 out of 10. If you enjoyed me unnecessarily dissecting Black Mirror, like the video, and if you want to see me yap and over-examine other TV shows or movies, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. I'm in full tourist mode, as you can see. I actually wore this like right after I bought it out of the gift shop. My roommate called me a tourist, but I was a tourist, so yeah, I'm wearing the whole Vegas outfit.